Action!
Action! Alright.
Yeah, you're broadcasting live.
Broadcasting live now. So, welcome you guys to the first annual People's Party Potluck and Workshop.
Woo, yay!
I guess since we got off to a late start, we can flip things around. We just gotta jump straight into eat it. So, I wanted to pretty much just speak a little bit, and then we can talk about the goals of the People's Party Coalition and what we'd like out of the group, as well as out of each other and this world. So, first, I would like to just set the clipboard down and talk to you guys a bit from the heart, because I feel like any representative of the people should be able to speak freely and truthfully. Not every time should they step up to the podium to speak, should they be scripted or rehearsed. So as I speak to you right here, right now, I just want to dig into the oneness of consciousness and kind of just flow from there. So pretty much, again, we are here together to pretty much bring more attention to the world struggles, and because we want to be a part of that, a part of fighting those struggles. And no matter how diverse we are, we all have our own, and it's time that we definitely unify to attack these problems, because what is it? United we stand, and divided we fall. So if we want to win this war on freedom, it's best that we stand together. So one of the few things that I like to talk about is being real, I guess, because it seems like in this day and age, in this world, being real with people is kind of something that's taken for granted. But growing up, you know, where I was, that was extremely important. You know, we say be true, be real, keep it real with me, all of this other stuff, keep it 100. That's where all of this originates from. But yet it seems like when we go to speak with each other, we attempt to be honest, we, run the possibility of hurting someone's feelings, or, not being taken seriously. Therefore, we tend to regulate the way that we speak to one another. We prevent ourselves from speaking honestly, from speaking truthfully, and unfortunately, our relationships have suffered because of that. We can see how families are becoming more and more detached. You'll have a grandmother sitting across from her grandson, and while he's wrapped into his Facebook on his phone, she's more so just wanting to connect with him. And it's sad that you can see this happening in every aspect of our lives, even at work. When we go to work, we interact with our coworkers, and when we walk in there, we say good morning to our boss, but we never say good morning to our coworkers. Why is that? And there's a level of dynamic there that we should all start questioning, and it has to deal with respect. We need to start respecting one another, especially black people. It's definitely hard for us to respect one another, because we've kind of been born and bred and raised into disrespecting one another. We call each other's, the N-bomb and, the B-word. I'll spare the derogatories, but you know what I'm saying. But again, when we speak to each other in such a fashion, what kind of image does that portray? Especially to one's spirit when it comes to personal growth and wanting to connect with those people that love you, or we think that love us. So we have to understand that the system that exists to keep us in this prejudiced mindset, it was meant to be, and it was intentional. So every dynamic of it exists, whether it be in our educational system, our health system, our families. We can see dynamics of prejudice, and it happens first in our home, and it happens first with respecting one another. So I feel like it's very important for us to get back to those basics We do have visitors over in the corner of the police. I don't know if they're watching us or, like Eva said, maybe going to the bathroom, but we'll see what happens with that. Anyways, pardon me.
Sorry.
I don't want to bump into you. But I'll get into what I'm speaking about being real, and again, what is being real. We think of ourselves as real people because, of course, we look at each other and we see flesh and blood and animated beings. But unfortunately, it is our government that does not see us as real people. And I think it's extremely important for we the people to wake up to this realization. Because again, we're living under this false illusion of connection with one another when there's a system in place that exists that does not recognize us in that way. So if we're looked at as not being real people, then how can we ever be expect to be respected? Now you guys are probably looking at me and wondering like, what do you mean real people? So again, going back to this flesh and blood being that you are, again, you see that, but your government sees you as a fictitious entity. What I mean is the person that you are to them exists no other way than on paper. That's why you have your birth certificate, that's why you have your social security card, and all of these items of identification. You think they're for identification, but really, what does that word identification even mean? It's to identify you, but again, you identify yourself as that flesh human being that you are. But to them, that identification is only ones and zeros. For instance, your birth certificate. When you think your birth certificate is nothing but a statement of you being born, like a witness statement that somebody was there and it was seen that you were brought into life that day. But the reality is your birth certificate couldn't be anything further from that. It is basically a certification of you being property, and it notifies you as such with the numbers on your birth certificate, as well as the way that the certificate itself is delivered to the hospital. The mother signs the birth certificate, the father does not. Did you know that? So the mother claims the property of the child to pretty much say, I born a child, but the reason why the father's signature is so important because he needs to claim that property. The mother, again, is considered property of the state. So the state issued the paper to them, to the mother signs the paperwork, and again turns over the authority of that child to the state, not the father. So we are all property of the state, you see? So I just shared on our group in the People's Party Coalition that if you go to fidelity.com and if you look under resources and go to where it says quotes, okay? And where it says quotes, you can enter a number. So with this number, this is supposed to be for commercial property. For instance, if I had a house or a deed on a trust or an estate or something like that, I should be able to enter that certificate number, and I would be given a value of that estate or of that trust on fidelity.com. Why is it that when you go to fidelity.com and you do this, you can enter your social security number, okay? And the same information will pop up. Now what that does is that shows you that, again, you are property of the state, because if your birth certificate itself is supposed to be nothing but a statement of your birth, a witness statement, then why are you as a person being traded as value, as property on Wall Street? And if so, who's the owner? I'm not getting that money. That's for sure. I'm not getting back kickback dividends or nothing like that. So I'll see, Khadijah got her pen and paper. Yeah, if you guys, just because I'm up here speaking, don't think that I just want you to listen. This is still a conversation, and I would like for all of you to be interactive. So if you happen to have a question, just raise your hand, and I'll be happy to address it. So, again, if that information is being traded on Wall Street, who's the owner of that? It should be us, and we are not. Because again, if I'm being traded as stock on Wall Street, I want whatever money they're making off of me in my pocket. And I know for sure that I'm not getting it. If anything is being taken away from me against my will with taxes. Every time you pay taxes, why is that taken out of your check? If taxation is supposed to be voluntary. You're not given the choice to give the money, it's being taken from you. So, if I hired you and I was to siphon a certain amount of money out of your paycheck each month before you got it, that would be called embezzlement. Why isn't our government being seen as embezzlers when that's exactly what they're doing? The reason is because we're giving them the authority to do so. We're complying. So we have to stop complying and start defying. That's the only way to cause a revolution against what's going in our country, because it again is unconstitutional and illegal. So as long as you're participating in it, you are participating in a criminal act. You ever hear them speak about how they talk about Social Security as a Ponzi scheme and all of this other stuff? That's because it is. It is. You have a group of money being held at the top and being siphoned off to specific individuals that only qualify. That's the criteria with every public assistance program in this country. Why should I need to qualify if, again, it's my money? I should be able to just claim it. So the way that we're going to be able to claim our money is by claiming our identity. How we do this first is by dumping what's called your straw man. Your straw man, believe it or not, is this fictitious identity that is recognized by the government. You guys heard of voodoo, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You heard of a voodoo doll?
Yeah.
Right? What is it about a voodoo doll? It's a fictitious representation of a person that if I make a specific action on it, it will affect that person. Okay? That's a voodoo doll. So, if you don't believe in voodoo, why does your government believe in voodoo? Because that's exactly what the straw man is. Your fictitious identity that exists only on paper, that if they affect it, it affects you. Why is it that the paper that they send off to you when they need you to come to court is called a summons? Okay? Look at the word that it's called. It's not called a notice, it's called a summons. Because they want to summon the spirit of you to see if they can bring you to life. That fictitious entity that's on paper. To see if it really exists. So you again, when you go to court, that's your flesh and blood showing and claiming this fictitious identity. Now again, if they have authority over that fictitious identity and you claim it, then in essence what? They have authority over you. So what you have to do is you have to denounce that identity. What you can do to denounce it and be able to exist in this society where it's pretty much relevant in order to exist is you can incorporate yourself. Okay? My wife and I are in the process of doing this right now, but once you incorporate yourself, you become the soul, S-O-L-E, but S-O-U-L, you become the sole proprietor of your estate, which is you. So you become the sole owner of your corporation, which is you. You have to look at yourself as a corporation because they're passing laws so quickly that the lines are getting blurred. We talk about Citizens United and how they use that to recognize corporations as people in court. But the reason why they did that was strategic, to take the personal corporation that is you and make it again a larger corporation of who they are, the owners. So it's your basically the owners of the corporation coming to claim their property, which is you. Don't forget that. So again, the way that we're going to be able to shake their claim on us and rid ourselves of them having authority over us is to deny it altogether. So pretty much by doing so, you have dual citizenship. You as the free person, you're the owner of this corporation, which is your fictitious business identity, which is you, your straw man. You can look all of this up. Everything that I'm talking to you about, trust me, as unbelievable as it sounds, you can just Google it and it'll pop right up. You can Google straw man, it'll pop right up. You can Google fictitious identity, legal fiction identity, legal fiction identity, pop right up. Okay? Um, now, when we say we're free, how are we really free if in this democracy that we live in, we are dictated by someone else's choice? We talk about living in a democracy. Yeah, living in a free country. No, you don't. You live in the furthest thing from free. Because in this democracy, if these three people vote, and or if we all voted on a subject, and these three people voted in opposition of these people, which are the majority, they would win. You see? So whatever choice that they made now applies to all. That's tyrannical, if anything, by definition. That and what we have in our democracy, okay? Because you got to remember the people that came over to this country, they understood how governments work. We've gotten so far from how we understand how our government works that we just exist or we believe something and we're just here floating around. But that's what's most important to bring it down is to understand how the system exists. So in this democracy that we have, we've chosen or selected for a representative democracy. What that is we go to the voting booth and we choose one person that says he's the representative or he or she is the representative of us. So they're going to speak for the majority. So we have a representative democracy. A complete democracy would be exactly what I said. Somebody or we all choosing to make an idea and it would be applicable to all. So again, by us having a representative democracy, we choose one person and that's the one that speaks over us all. So really what we have in this country is what's called a republic. A republic. So with the republic, we have our constitution as the foundation of the laws that are supposed to be respected by our court officials, by our government, anybody that swears to uphold the United States Constitution. Um, so pretty much in this democracy, because again, we want to be able to choose, we the people, we want to be able to choose. So if we pick a representative and we say, hey, we want you to do this, or we want this certain choice. And the representative says, okay, but according to this contract that I have with the people, I can't do it. It says that I can't. You see what I'm saying? So the Constitution is important because it restricts the government, not we the people. We are free to do whatever we want to. So our rights do not come from us from the government. We are born with them. We're free people. When you're born, you're not told you have the right to breathe. You have the right to eat. You have the right to walk, to talk. You see what I'm saying? God gave you that
To
right.
travel.
Exactly, the right to travel. So when you're born a free person. You are not subject of someone. But the government has made you subject to them through, again, this legal fiction identity that's been given to you once you're born. And as you go through life, you claim it. You claim it in school. When later in life, you use that identity to get you a job. Next thing you know, you're getting taxed, etc. So, and then you die. That's why they say you eat, you pay taxes, and you die. Those are the three things guaranteed in this life. And that's an awful way for us to live, because we know by living life, it's a lot more than that. So we got to start thinking that way. And the thinking comes from common sense. If I'm born to be free, who am I? Who is my master? And if the state is saying by being a citizen you are subject to authority, then that's exactly what it is. Um, One of the great apps that I have in my phone is the United States Constitution app. It's by R.B. Ware. It's no permissions on it at all, which means there won't be spying or nothing. It's permission free, and you can download it on your phone for free. But it has the United States Constitution. It has similar documents like the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence, the English Bill of Rights, and the Magna Carta, of all things. But I'd like to read to you the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction of are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. You guys understand that? Let me read that to you again in layman's terms. All persons, all people born or naturalized in the United States of America. So if you're born in the United States of America or are a naturalized citizen, which is somebody that goes and applies for citizenship in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States of America. See why they put that word subject in there? Because they're telling you right there in the 14th Amendment that when you're born in this country, you are a citizen and you are subject to their authority. So the 14th Amendment, if you guys know anything about history, it came into play after the Civil War. So after Lincoln had his conflict to help free the slaves, which was all over money, then that's a whole other story. But pretty much after the Civil War, these 13 colonies got together because, again, you had a group of rich colonies like the South that wanted to maintain their property, which is slaves. Okay? So now that this war was done and the blood has been spilled, they come to Congress of all places and they say, there's a way that we can do this to where it'll make everyone happy without bloodshed. And it's basically just giving them citizenship under the United States of America. Now, if you read the 14th Amendment more, it talks about diversity, and a lot of people try to argue it to say, oh, it's to say that people of color can work in jobs and have free rights to do whatever. No, it was basically to make us all, black, white, Mexican, whatever, Chinese, it was to make us all property, just like the slaves did. Basically putting slavery on paper. And this exists through the 14th Amendment. So again, how can we ever claim to be free if these are the constructs of our government? So, with that said, I'd like to talk about how we interact more with each other, because again, on the lines of respect and respecting each other's freedom, when you can dictate to each other how you're going to live, how is that going to stay true to being free? To be subject to authority defeats the whole concept of being free. Wouldn't that be true, right? Because if that's the same reason why the forefathers of this country left England was because they didn't want to be subject to the authority of the king or the queen or whatever. Subject. So, to be free people recognizing themselves as free people, they came here. So, your dual citizenship lies in you recognizing yourself as a free person and, again, utilizing your citizenship to your benefit. Okay? Use it when it applies to you, when you want to. It's your choice to use it freely as a free person. So we got to exercise that right, definitely. Um, and if so, who made us the enforcers of law? Because if we talk about justice in this country and being free people, if I make the choice to do certain things in my own home, it's on my own property and I have the freedom to do so, then if you don't like it, then you should be able to just mind your business. Let me mind my business. Why is it that we can have enforcers to enforce our will or our rule or whatever on someone else? Why do these people exist to, force us to do things against our will? That's definitely not the definition of freedom. So it's sad that we can be here to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday and his speeches, many speeches, echoed on the grounds of freedom. Yet here we are today, and we happen to be battling racial injustice, the same fights for educational rights, and just freedom altogether, all over again. Nothing much has changed. So when you talk about letting freedom ring, what would that sound like? Does it sound like peace? Does it sound like unity? Does it sound like love? You know? So we got to start resonating with what freedom really is in this country. Um, and it starts first with, of course, respecting each other. We could all turn to our neighbor and say, we are equal. We are equal. And imagine how much of a message that would help in breaking down these barriers if we start seeing each other as equals. How you doing, brother? Welcome to the club. We have another attendee. Yay. So, pretty much
Battery's almost low.
your battery's low?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. You can cut it off if you want.
Okay. Got
So,
three viewers.
in the beginning, they say, was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So when we talk about words and speaking these words into existence, we gotta think about where words come from. And if they come from our spirit, then these words they were using to speak to one another resonate with each other's spirit. We hear them with our ears, but it goes deeper than that. Um, the whole term "sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." That even originated from Christian ministries. They used to go to Africa, and it was to basically subject them to their will, to let them know that, hey, please don't fight us back and attack us. Pretty much just to use it as a subject of authority. So, again, there's a lot of power in words, and how we exercise our words truly matters. And if we started speaking to each other with respect, then it definitely would change the situation and how the world sees us as a whole. And when it comes to Americans in general, I would think that um, I thought you guys are supposed to be, free, just like our country, So again, we got to recognize the breakdown of our society and how it's happening at that level, and using our words as our power, because words are spellbinding. You ever hear the term, "Oh, they had a way with words. They had a magical way with words. They're a wordsmith." That's because words are entrancing. The person that hears them are hypnotized into into what's being said, you know? So what's being said, of course, it can captivate us, and if we're listening to certain people that's speaking words that doesn't resonate with our spirit, then we definitely got to recognize them as enemies of our freedom. Even the word sovereignty in this country, it's even though we're supposedly a sovereign nation, it's looked at as being a negative term. You say sovereign, and oh no, you're one of those people that you know want to go against rules, and you don't think rules exist. It's like no. When you see the word sovereign or sovereignty, just think of freedom, because that's exactly what we're supposed to be. Our
God
country is
given
a
rights.
sovereign country. Huh?
God given rights. This is
Exactly.
alien
God-given
rights. Yeah.
rights, inalienable
Right.
rights. And these are the rights given to you by God, your creator. So as a sovereign person, as a free person, the only person who has authority over you is God. You ever heard the saying, if you love something, set it free? God loved us so much, he set us free. So it's time to come back to God and let God know that we are understanding this and express that love amongst each other. That way it can be expressed towards our Creator. So um, I don't want to ramble too much. We have a
So
lot of
what's
people.
next? You got a workshop? We gonna.
Huh?
What's next?
All right. So pretty much, I just want to talk more about the plan of action, because when I'm talking about us claiming our freedom and all of this stuff, it's all about taking our words and putting them into action. And that's the main focus of the People's Party Coalition, is taking our words and making them into action. Every Facebook group, they sit around sharing memes all day, and it's just a whole bunch of people talking and, expressing thoughts. Well, we want to take those thoughts and make them reality. So when we're talking about the injustices of police brutality, we should be coming up with plans of action to help go out in our community and fight police brutality. When we talk about homelessness and people being hungry in our streets, we should be coming up with plans of action to going out in the streets and helping feed people and helping them come up with homes. Even Lewis himself, you think it's a little, but a little goes a long way. One gentleman that was homeless, his tent ended up, falling down and caving down. Lou went out and got him a new tarp, you know. So now he has a new home. And that's how we got to think about it, even though it may not seem like home to us because it's not concrete. This is concrete to him or her. So we just got to think about ways that we can help our community, no matter money can create opportunities for us to go out and be vocal. It will give us an opportunity to fight these corporations in numbers when we have advertisements and have 500 people there, 100 people there, or however many people there to help us fight this. So direct action is very important. And direct action is basically we the people going out and getting involved in protests, boycotts, stuff like that to help fight these social injustices. So direct action is extremely important. So I'd like for us to again make our focus of the group about that being involved. And our three principles, the first is re-education, the second is application, and the third is eradication. So, by re-education, first, all of us as members, it is very important for us to educate ourselves on what we should know. We talk about the dumbing down of our society and how stupid our kids are, but really, how smart are we? All of us have read books, right? You read a book, everybody's read books, right? How many of us has read the United States Constitution?
In grade
Right.
school.
You see what I'm saying? So again, if this stuff is so important, then we should know how it works and how it applies to us in our day-to-day lives. A lot of people, the reason why they aren't involved in politics is because they're like, it ain't got nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. It has everything to do with your paycheck, your food, the bills you pay. Yeah.
How can you oppose and defend something if you don't even know what it says?
True, exactly. And that's why the re-educational part comes into play. Because again, the more we know, the more we can inform each other. And that's what's most imperative is because again, we have to be those people out in the world creating that change. The media isn't going to do that. The media isn't going to inform the public on what they need to know. You're tools of the same people that seek to oppress us. So they're never going to tell us the information that we need to know. Why is it that the media themselves, when something happens, they're reaching out to people's Twitter pages for the news story? Because we, the people, we're on the grounds and we're the ones that see it first. So word of mouth is extremely important. When you're around in your social circles and talking to people and you hearing them speak and they're saying, you know, talking about rights and stuff like that, say, hey, did you know, yada, 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 you know? And those are just little ways that we can help create that change. And that leads to the second part, application. Because with this re-education, we are now able to apply what we know amongst our peers, amongst our world. And that will lead to the third thing, eradication. Eradicating all of the ills of our world. We talk about um, police brutality. We talk about abuses of authority by government. We talk about healthcare, problems with that, problems with our educational system. Again, we're not going to make any changes about these situations unless we're actually applying ourselves. And a lot of people feel lost because they feel like, okay, it's all of this is so big. How do I get involved? How do I do something? Well, you're doing it right now by getting involved with people like this, and that's what's most important. And that's what another thing is. I'd like for us to go out and build more alliances with people, friends, family members, other organizational groups. Just reach out, try to connect with them any way, shape, and form. Even if you have an opposing idea or theory about whatever it is they may represent. Um, your enemy's enemy is your friend. So as long as they're seeking to eradicate our oppressors, then guess what? They're on your side. Okay? So another thing that we need to be focused on is gaining more recognition. The reason why Black Lives Matter was able to gain so much recognition was because George Soros, you know, a multi-billionaire, put $33 million behind branding
you guys for watching. Right now the battery's about to die, so just be sure you guys stay tuned for the rest of the videos. I appreciate the viewers that are watching. We will post the rest of the video up with by other means, but my battery's about to die, so I'm really, really sorry. Thank you guys again for being a part of this, and we love you, and stay tuned.
If we get more recognition, more attention, that'll be easier to